On to you, Aquarius. So you have the Eight of Wands, the Two of Wands, the Knight of Wands, the Page of Cups, the Five of Cups, the Five of Wands, the Nine of Wands, the Queen of Swords, the Seven of Pentacles, and the Death card. So all right, this is about how you, Aquarius, a lot of you can really, the Eight of Wands, right, the Two of Wands, really not holding back anymore, telling people about themselves if you have to. There's really a sense of, if there's something that you need to say about other people, right, you're definitely going to stand up for yourself. And there's not a lot of trying to keep the peace just for the sake of trying to keep the peace. A lot of times people run you over with that, right? They don't really understand that Aquarius is a wild card. And they don't really necessarily put themselves in what it is that they're doing when they put themselves in the crosshairs of the Aquarius. Because Aquarius can be just as wild as a Scorpio and as vengeful as a Scorpio can, right? But a lot of people tend to think sometimes, especially the ones that are real stupid, that you, Aquarius, are punks, when clearly that's not the case. So the Knight of Wands represents, you know what? You would rather keep your distance than push comes to shove, something happened to these idiots, right? And the thing about it is that the Page of Cups and the Five of Cups represent, and that's the stupidity of it, right? You'd rather mourn on your own instead of having to deal with a bunch of knuckleheads that don't appreciate you and don't appreciate your own unique take onto it, right? Because a lot of you, Aquarius, are intelligent. A lot of the times when I speak to you, Aquarius, you really do have something to say. But unfortunately, a lot of people don't really take the time to actually listen to what it is that you have to say. So, yeah, definitely the Page of Cups, the Five of Cups, mourning on your own, right? Still having to come to grips with the reality that, look, a lot of you, Aquarius, are going to have to start embracing the fact that, you know, you're just not really meant to have a whole lot of friends like that. And a lot of your hidden enemies come in the form of your so-called friends, because some of it is because they like you. Some of it is because they're in love with you. Some of it is because they wish they had your talent. So they're trying to make sure that you don't ever actually make anything of yourself, right? And that goes for even the people who you are with romantically. The Five of Wands, however, represents, but a lot of you, Aquarius, are now more ready, and you definitely have a more well-rounded perspective as to how you're going to interact with others. It's definitely not going to be a case of the bubble gum, right? Meaning like everything is fanciful and you think that people have your back. You know, I've said this to a lot of Aquarius, and I myself, I have Aquarius in my own chart. My father's in Aquarius. I have Saturn in Aquarius in my 11th house, and my father is in Aquarius, born February 4th. You know, so, and my mom's a Pisces. So that's the point that I'm trying to make here, right? I have full hands-on experience with this. And me being part of Aquarius myself, I can tell you that you have to become more okay with being by yourself. Because a lot of people are not going to be on the same type of vibration or octave or be where you are in your own existence and actually be able to keep up with you. So the Five of Wands is that you need to understand this and come to terms with what this actually means. Because a lot of you, Aquarius, may not have actually understood that yet. You know, a lot of you are giants amongst midgets in that regard, meaning that when it comes to the person's imagination and their creativity, right, you are giants amongst people who really don't have much creativity. That's why it is that they let themselves be told what to do with these trends, right? So the Nine of Wands represents the trendy stuff right now is ruining relationships, trying to act like you more gangster than what you are, trying to act like you don't need anybody, ruining relationships, tearing your households apart, trying to make it seem like you so you know, you're so cool without it, but then at the same time behind closed doors crying about it. So a lot of you Aquarius really need to come to grips with what that means. You know, me being part of Aquarius myself, my mom always, you know, I ain't gonna say always, but my mom sometimes have to remind me, you know, when you're dealing with some of these people, they don't understand what it is that you're talking about. And to actually see it in the real world, how sometimes people will tell me, you know, even in some of your videos, people will tell me, they'll be like, you know, in some of your videos, I don't necessarily understand what it is that you're saying. So you're gonna have to kind of slow it down for me to understand. So that's when I started to really get a hands-on approach of people actually saying that to me, right? But the Queen of Swords represents here. But once you, Aquarius, start to really understand your own value, and your whole approach to dating is going to be different, right? Because now you have to recalibrate of not trying to necessarily underestimate other people, right? Because there's always a chance that a person could be smarter than what you think. But then at the same time, you don't want to overestimate the person where you think that they're more valuable than what they are, i.e. put them on a pedestal, right? So the Seven of Pentacles and the Death card now represents, when it comes to this idea of, I just see a lot of you Aquarius are putting aside or putting to sleep the idea of like creating this family. I see, honestly, I see a lot of you Aquarius probably already having your own families and putting to sleep that idea that you have to now take care of little ones. A lot of your little ones are now adults. And for you Aquarius that don't necessarily have little ones, this is more so about you Aquarius kind of understanding that you need to find someone that's real first before you can even think about settling down. So let's clarify some of these cards, right? Let's clarify the Death card. Again, the Nine of Pentacles, the Knight of Pentacles, the Moon, and the Ten of Swords. To clarify the Death card, right? A lot of you Aquarius, like I said, you've put away the idea that you are obligated to other people and that you have contributed enough to the group, right? You will, whenever it is that you interact with others, there's definitely this sense of much more wisdom that's coming to you, right? You will deal with people, but up to a certain point. Once you realize that they're idiots, that their level doesn't go past a certain point, you can, a lot of you Aquarius, I'm seeing that you will settle to deal with them for a short period of time, but it's not going to be anything long lasting, right? Where you're really in love. The Moon and the Ten of Swords represents, and that could never end up like this. You could never be in love with a person who's asleep, basically. Because a lot of you Aquarius tend to be aware of yourself and aware of what's going on. So very heavy reading.